Dragon Ball. The Strongest Training. Chapter 1. My head hurts so much. Colin slowly opened his eyes and looked at this strange place. The sound of seagulls was heard outside the window, and the waves were crashing against the rocks. Where am I? Colin's head was a little dizzy. Colin slowly sat up, his body aching. Wait a minute, why are these arms so short? Colin jumped out of bed in a hurry and saw his shrunken limbs. Why did the Mao level feel so low? It felt like the whole world had become taller. Colin hurriedly ran to the mirror. Cow, who is this little bald guy? I have a headache. Colin felt like there were thousands of fine needles pricking him in his mind, and Colin fell to the ground in pain. Thoughts flooded into my mind like a tide, and pictures kept flashing through my mind. I went to Duolin Temple since I was a child and was constantly bullied. I ran out of Duolin Temple crying, wandered in search of the god of martial arts, became a disciple of Turtle Sennin, ate and played with Wukong. They practiced together to become stronger, won the world's best martial arts competition, and were killed by Danbalin, the subordinate of Big Demon King Piccolo. Wukong avenged himself. The fragments continued to emerge, and finally connected into a line. Colin wiped the sweat from his head and slowly stood up. I, Colin, actually came to the Dragon Ball world. My name is Colin, and I became Krillin. When I was a child, I was a Dragon Ball fan. I fantasized about becoming a Saiyan and destroying planets at every turn. Now I have become the little bald guy Krillin. Colin was a little depressed. Looking at my body, I feel like crying, but there are absolutely no tears at 155. Oh, no wonder number 18 always calls me dwarf, it's so uncomfortable. Speaking of which, Lazili is definitely a goddess, and she seems to have eternal energy. Now that I think about it, it seems pretty good, a goddess-level wife, hee. Klim slowly walked out of the house. Oh my god, it's really an island. I've never seen an island in my life. Bah, it was my last life. There is an elderly chair not far away, and an old man is sleeping on the chair, with a bad magazine covering his face. This must be Teacher Wu Tian, Clin thought to himself. Clin had a feeling of gratitude towards Teacher Wu Tian. Rather than being grateful, it was more like a son and a father. Yes, it was a son and a father. In the later period, only Clin accompanied Kame Sennin. Accompanying is another word. Said, old age and death. You treat me as your son and I treat you as your father, but this feeling can only be buried deep in my heart. The sun had reached its highest point, and Clin said, Teacher Wu Tian, you can't bask in the sun like this. The sun is so big and it's too poisonous. Clin thought to himself, if I get such a tan in the future, how will Lazli be attracted to me? I must take good care of myself in the future. Teacher Wu Tian, let me help you change the ground. Clin gently moved Teacher Wu Tian to a coconut tree. In fact, Teacher Wu Tian woke up the moment Clin approached. Hearing Clin's muttering, he moved to a place for himself, thinking that his love for this child was not in vain, so filial. The sea breeze blows in waves, and the air is so fresh. I have never seen the sea in my previous life, but now I see the vast blue sea. My mind is full of beautiful words and my mouth is filled with words. Ah. The sea, you have so much water. Colin ran towards the beach. The golden sand, the lapping of the waves, the cry of seagulls, and someone's dog pawing formed a very beautiful picture. Clin dived into the bottom of the sea. With a combat power of 100, he could last for half an hour. The bottom of the sea was so beautiful, with corals of various colors and schools of fish. Suddenly several red shadows passed by his eyes. Such big shrimps, they must be delicious. Catch a few and make spicy prawns for Teacher Wu Tian. Clin slowly swam in its direction, but the ejection speed of the shrimp was too fast. Whenever he got close, it would always being able to pass by in a flash. Clin gradually lost his patience. You forced me to do this, ha. Gui, sect, Qigong. Puff, a small water column, what happened? I have at least 100 combat power now, and I can't even release Qigong waves. Try again. Ha. Turtle-style Qigong, PFFT. I must have made a mistake, there must be some skill. At this moment, I suddenly recalled what Teacher Wu Tian said when he taught martial arts. If you want to release Qigong, you must first use your own energy and yourself. The body reaches a high degree of coordination. Highly coordinated, highly coordinated. Clin looked happy. Haha, I understand, I understand. Clin once again assumed a posture exclusive to the turtle school Qigong. He put his hands together and rotated 90 degrees. Ha, ha, turtle, pi, Qigong. Puff, made a mistake, try again, failure 99 plus. Clin closed his eyes, feeling every movement and every breath, condensing all the strength of his body into his hands. At this moment, Clin opened his eyes suddenly, and a bright light came out of his hand. He sent the turtle Qigong to hit the sea water behind him. Clin moved at high speed with the force of its reverse thrust. I got it, little one, run away and make trouble with me, ha 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 ha. Clin couldn't help but laugh. Following the same pattern, I caught 5, which was enough to eat. Go home, go home. Immediately, Clin slowly rose into the air, and he had already learned the Wukong technique, and flew towards Turtle Fairy Island, but the speed was very slow. Teacher Wushan, look what I caught, Krillin shouted. Teacher Wu Tian put away the bad publications and stood up slowly. Oh, Clin. Clin ran towards Teacher Wu Tian and threw the prawn in front of Teacher Wu Tian. The martial arts teacher was a little surprised and said, big red shrimps are everywhere in the sea. They are hard and meatless. Your efforts to catch them are really in vain. Haha, Clin smiled. Teacher Wu Tian, there are times when you don't know what you are doing. I will cook you a delicious meal today, just wait and see. Then Clin carried the shrimps into the kitchen, and when he was about to start a big fight, he found that there was no garlic, no garlic, no garlic. Clin ran to the main hall and asked Teacher Wu Tian, do we have that kind of thing at home? It's just a big lump, peeled into pieces, and tastes spicy when eaten. Teacher Wu Tian said, I think I've seen it before. Let me think about it. I remember seeing it 50 years ago when I was training in the mountains. I picked up a small bag and ate some. If it didn't taste good, I planted it in the southwest of Guixian Island. 50 It's an island inside and outside. After hearing this, Clin immediately used Wukong technique and shouted, Teacher, I'll be back as soon as I go. Clin searched southwestward and came across 5 small islands but failed to find them. It was almost dusk and the sea was filled with countless small islands. Mad, this is too difficult. Clint landed on a small island the size of 3 football fields. He searched carefully and was overjoyed. He saw the familiar garlic. He searched hundreds of islands in vain. They were all densely packed in front of him. It seemed that there would be no shortage of them in the future. When we arrived at Guixian Island, the moon hung brightly. Teacher Wu Tian, I'm going to cook right away. Clin said with some urgency. Why don't we go to a restaurant today? Actually, I still have some money left, Teacher Wu Tian said with a look of disbelief. Clin quickly said, Teacher, believe me, and then Clin ran to the kitchen, heated up the oil in the pot, and sautéed the garlic. The following is based on imagination. Teacher Wu Tian is ready to eat. Clin found that Teacher Wu Tian was half sitting and staring at the TV series with lewd eyes and drooling. Clin walked forward and shouted, Teacher Wu Tian is ready to eat. Quote. Oh, Clin, don't block me, come and watch together. Clin sweated. If you endure it any longer, Lazili will have too. What is it? It smells so good, Teacher Wu Tian said with eyes shining. Teacher Wu Tian walked to the table and saw a large pot of red shrimps. Teacher, try it. Teacher Wu Tian twisted off one leg and took a lick. Oh, his eyes lit up, as if he had seen a beautiful girl, and he started to feast. Teacher, please save some for me. I have been busy for most of the day, and now my chest is pressed against my back due to hunger. After a long time, the two of them lay on the sofa, looking very comfortable. By the way, Clin, the Bull Demon King came over today and said that Wukong and Chi-Chi will get married in a month and invited us over, Teacher Wu Tian said slowly. Oh. Is Goku getting married? So this year will be 756 AD, and there will be less than 5 years left before Raditz comes to Earth. After that, it will be the era of Dragon Ball Z. Time waits for no one, Krillin thought silently. Teacher Wu Tian, where is Lan Chi? Maybe he went to rob again. Oh, then I'm going to take a rest. Teacher, please take a rest early. Clin walked to his room. Clin, do you still remember the essence of Guesen Ryu? Teacher Wu Tian asked powerfully. Clinton paused and said, of course I remember. Clin was lying on the bed. At this time, he was not as suddenly as he was during the day, and he had many questions to think about. In 5 years, the Earth will be in an era of great chaos. The Earth will be like a powder keg that will explode as soon as it is touched. I am just an ordinary Earthling, and my combat power increases very slowly. Can I practice as hard as Clin? I'm not sure myself. I'm afraid it will be difficult. How should I protect number 18 and my daughter in the future? Do I have to rely on Wukong to protect my wife and daughter? Clin clenched his fists. I'm just an Earthling, just an Earthling. After all, I can't reach the heights of Goku, Clin sighed fiercely. Ding dong, is the host starting to get discouraged? Who's talking? Hello host, this system is the most powerful training aid for people on Earth. Clinton was sober and looked happy. I was indeed the strongest protagonist. I'm afraid you may be happy too early, the system said with disdain. The most powerful thing about this system is just to assist you. I am always accompanied by my pretentious style. One sword is 999. The host should not think about those unrealistic things. The main purpose of this system is to start with one sentence. Strength depends entirely on practice. Okay, do you have anything to ask? If not, the system will go to sleep. Clint said quickly. Wait. What on earth do you want to say? I don't understand anything yet. Is there anyone like you who can be a system leader? The system is sweating, please look at the big screen. Training Assistance System. This system is dedicated to assisting people on Earth in their cultivation and improving their sense of existence. In addition, this system has no secrets and does not require the host to discover it. The details are as follows. Time: 756 AD. Name: Clin. Age: 20 years old. Race: Earthling. Combat power: 100. Skills: Turtle-style Qigong, Sun Fist, Afterimage Fist. Cultivation limit: 1500 combat power. Clin's face was full of confusion. What are you for? This system allows you to improve endlessly and break the limits of people on Earth. Compared with you, you have unlimited potential. For example, your current combat power is 100, and your potential is still 1500. Without opportunities, you can only cultivate to around 1500 combat power. Of course, this is just a theory. You must know that people have unlimited possibilities. When you practice to 1200 combat power, your progress is difficult because you are close to the limit. At this time, the system can help you break the limit. At this time your potential value becomes 5000, and 5000 is your next limit. Do you understand? The system slowly explained. Clin was in a trance, and then he was extremely excited and ecstatic. When Clin became an Earthling, what he was most worried about was the qualifications of Earthlings. It is difficult for Earthlings to cultivate a combat power of more than 50,000. Now the system has solved the limit problem. Next, that's the step-by-step practice. Next, you only need to make a detailed training plan. The essence of Kame Senryu training is to study hard, practice well, eat well, and rest well. The concise 16 words encapsulate the essence of spiritual practice. Practicing for 5 hours a day is enough. Haste makes waste. I also study for 2 hours a day. I want to be a person with cultural connotation. Clin fell asleep in his thoughts. The next day, a ray of sunlight shone in and slowly moved to Clin's face. Clin was stung by the warm sunlight, slowly opened his eyes, yawned, and turned around to get out of bed. When Clint came to the main hall, the gentle and tactful Lan Chi had already prepared breakfast. Lan Chi saw Clin and said with a smile, "Good morning, Clin." "Good morning, Lan Chi, Teacher Wu Tian, good morning. Sit down quickly and get ready to eat." The martial arts teacher noticed that Clin had some changes from the past. He seemed to be more confident. His smile was revealed inadvertently and his eyes were shining. Clin was a strong child. He had been a little melancholy since the 23rd martial arts tournament, but now it looks like everything is fine here. Teacher Wu Tian smiled happily. "Teacher, I'm full and I'm going to practice." After saying that, he walked away. This child has become more diligent. Teacher Wu Tian nodded happily. My current combat power is 100. I remember when Raditz came to Earth, my combat power was 206, while Wukong was 334 to 416. Now Wukong is about 280 points. The gap is not very big. In the future, the gap will be in billions. Now is the best time to catch up. Wukong's combat power will not improve much in the next 4 years. Piccolo will have a new trick 4 years later, the magic piercing light kill cannon. It seems that marriage has really restricted Wukong. Clint said with a smile. Now you have to try your best to adapt to your body and get familiar with the feeling of fighting. Let's start with the basics. Let's do 2000 push-ups first. 1, 2.105 without feeling tired. It's so strong. Clint couldn't help but sigh. 2000 push-ups are just a slight sweat. Then let's do 2000 burpees, 5000 push-ups, and 10,000 push-ups. Clint was supporting himself with his arms. There was a puddle of water on the ground. His muscles were trembling all over his body. Clint, you can do it. Come on, the muscles were trembling even more. Clint gritted his teeth and crawled directly to the ground, whirring. Haha, gasping for air, I've really reached my limit. Ding dong, the host has cultivated to the limit, the system repair function is activated, and a mysterious force begins to nourish and restore Clint's body. Whenever the host reaches the limit of cultivation, the recovery function will be activated. Clint was lying on the ground, his body was warm and comfortable, and he slowly closed his eyes, enjoying the pleasure of the training belt. 3 hours later, when I woke up, I found that I didn't feel any physical discomfort or muscle soreness. I felt more refreshed and refreshed. This was great. I could practice without any worries in the future. It's time to go back. The journey of cultivation requires steady progress, and haste makes waste. Teacher Wu Tian was still basking in the sun, but this time it was slightly blocked by coconut trees. Clint stepped forward. Teacher Wu Tian, do you still have the turtle shell that I used to practice? I want to use it for training. Clint asked. The turtle shell is placed in the warehouse at the back. With your current level, Clint, the turtle shell is not of much use to you. You need to get a heavier one. You can go to the market town to customize one. Teacher Wu Tian explained. I know, but I still want to try it now. Clint added in his heart. Actually, I have no money now. Okay teacher, I'll look for you. It didn't take long to find it. It looked like an old tortoise shell. It seemed to be of good weight. Let's train with it on my back tomorrow. Now is the time to study. I have to find some books to read. Clint went to the bookcase and opened it. Good guy, it was full, but what the hell was the cover? After taking a few glances, he felt an evil fire coming out. Ha, old man, there are so many things and treasures, and everyone's collection is worthy of the name. It seems that my study has been postponed and I don't have money to buy books now. Life is so hard. The next day, Clint came to the place where he practiced, carrying a 40-kilogram turtle shell behind him. Ha! Started training, 2000 push-ups. It was obviously more difficult than yesterday, but it was more effective. Ha! Clint used 2 fingers to support the ground, his arms were shaking, and the ground was already lightly moistened with sweat. Every time when I feel like I can't hold on anymore, I think about No 18's face, and think about the planet exploded with one punch in the later stage of Dragon Ball, and I suddenly feel empowered. After resting for a while, Clint was lying on the ground, feeling particularly comfortable. The mysterious power of the system was slowly repairing his body, just like a Saiyan's repair fluid. 2 hours later, I felt that my body had returned to its peak, and I immediately got up and continued Qi training. However, Teacher Wushan still taught only vague concepts. If you want to truly learn how to use it, you have to go to the temple. 7 days have passed in the blink of an eye, and Clint is still training hard. He closes his eyes tightly, gathers the strength of his body, and shouts, Turtle. Sect. Qigong. A blue light is emitted from Clint's hand, and a small hill is in the distance. It collapsed suddenly, haha, it lived up to the name. It is only now that I have 100 combat power, but I still lack actual combat experience. The feeling of memory makes me boil. The feeling of being strong is really not bad, but it is a different feeling if I have been abused all the time. How should I put it? Knowing that no matter how hard I practice, I will still be abused, and I will never be able to catch up with my teammates. No wonder Clint gave up his identity as a martial arts master in the later period. Now I can understand Clint's mood at that time. His heart for martial arts has never been changed, the cruelty of reality always leaves him bruised and bruised. Now that I have support, I know I can always get stronger, and this feeling is unparalleled. Don't worry, in this life, I will be the truly strongest person on earth. Clint silently swore in his heart. Clint started training early as usual. After a week of running in, Clint gradually fell in love with this feeling of breaking the limit. In 23 days, it will be Wukong's wedding. I have to seize the time to make money. Besides, you can't just be an old man. Just do it. But what should I do? Clint fell into deep thought. Be a milk courier like you were a kid. No, no. This is too hopeless. With this book of praising my wife, I can't even imagine it. I didn't expect that I don't have any skills in this life. Do you want me to practice black boxing? The picture is so beautiful, so sad and sad. Xiao Lin, it's time to eat, Lan Qi shouted from a chair. Oh, coming right away. Clint thought as he walked. This is when he suddenly smelled the smell of garlic. Clint looked happy and clapped his hands. He had a solution. Lan Qi, have you ever eaten this before? Clint asked, pointing to the minced garlic. No, this is my first time eating this. The taste is really unique, Lan Qi replied with a smile. That's really great. People in this world have never tasted the taste of garlic. Making garlic lobster, haha, it should make me rich. Lan Qi, I'll teach you how to make garlic lobster. Then we go out and open a small restaurant. I'm sure we can make money. It will definitely be more interesting than you at home. Also, it's too dangerous to go out and rob every day. You may not see so much in your blonde state. If we don't have money, we won't go out and rob. Lan Qi said excitedly. It's a good idea, but I'm afraid I can't do it well. It doesn't matter. Take your time. Come on, I'll teach you how to make minced garlic first. The blue-haired Lan Qi is definitely a good wife and mother, and she soon mastered the essence. Now you only need a small cart and a few sets of tables and chairs to officially open the business. First, go to the woods to get some wood and build some tables and chairs. There is naturally no shortage of trees on the island. On the contrary, they are very dense. If the trees hug each other, a huge number will fall down and the birds will fly away. One tree is enough. I used my bare hands as a saw, and after a while, round and square logs were made. I made 5 sets in total. It is enough for now. The only thing left is a small car. Let's borrow one from Teacher Wu Tian. Teacher, lend me your number 5 capsule for a few days. Keelan, I think I put capsule number 5 in the cabinet. You can go look for it. Okay, Teacher Wu Tian. Now that everything is ready, I'll prepare some ingredients. Clint flew to Garlic's base and prepared 1,000 ingredients. Go to the sea again to catch some shrimps. This time, Clint is carrying a 40-kilogram turtle shell. Yes, the resistance on the seabed is quite large. Coupled with gravity, it is definitely a good place to practice. You can make money and exercise at the same time. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The next day, Lan Qi got up early and seemed a little excited and asked, Xiao Lin, when are we going to make money? No hurry, no rush, we'll set off when the sun goes down. After a long night of catching last night, although she has recovered physically, she is really tired mentally. She will not go into the sea at night even if she is beaten to death. Lan Qi needs to have a good rest now, she will be very tired at night. Lan Qi seemed a little disappointed, said oh, and went back. As the sun approaches the horizon, Krillin is awake, well, full of energy. Okay, let's go, Lan Qi is ready to go. Teacher Wu Tian was also a little curious and expressed that he wanted to follow him and have a look. A huge wave passed by on the sea, and a small boat flew by, accompanied by the laughter of 3 people. Soon we arrived at our destination. It was a small city with many high-rise buildings. People were coming and going on the streets. There were various means of transportation, including a werewolf with a wolf head and the silly bear Big Bear. The night market in Dragon Ball World was quite beautiful and the food was delicious. Duo, this is just a small city, make money first, and later make money to travel with your wife. The 3 of them were looking for vacant seats, but it seems they arrived a little late, and the good lots have been taken up, Lan Qi said worriedly. Clint chuckled. The aroma of wine is not afraid of the depth of the alley. It doesn't matter. There is an empty seat over there. Let's go over there. Then, the 2 of them went over and opened the stall. Hey, where is Grandpa Turtle? He was here just now, Lan Chi asked. Don't worry, I just saw teacher Wu Tian chatting with a young lady. I guess she can't walk. When he started working, random Clint took out the sign he had written at home, which read, garlic prawns, 5,000 yuan each, of course, based on the price at the time. Little Wukong ate more than 400,000 yuan in one meal. After a while, the aroma of garlic burst out, and the smell was very fragrant. In an instant, it attracted many people to watch. The people around looked at the prawns in the pot and kept swallowing their saliva, but no one took the initiative to eat. Everyone was waiting and watching. At this moment, Clint knew that only one fuse was needed to detonate the onlookers. Clint shouted, try it first and then buy it. Then he took out one and gave it to the onlookers. After taking a bite, he became completely enthusiastic. The werewolf's eyes glowed green and shouted, I want 5. The blind bear next to him snorted coldly when he saw this. I'm so angry, boss, I want 20. The werewolf seemed to be stimulated and shouted, give me 15 more. Everyone pushes me to grab. I want 5, I want 10, I want 20. It was sold out in just 2 hours, and those who didn't get it were naturally very unhappy. Clint shouted from the side that they had run out of ingredients today, but they would still be at the same place tomorrow, so see you there. Some customers who didn't buy anything left cursing, I waited for 2 hours and didn't buy anything. Lan Chi, pack your things and I'll go find teacher Wu Tian. It's time for us to go back. Okay, Lan Chi replied with stars in her eyes, I am indeed very tired. Teacher Wu Tian, let's go, it's time to go back. Teacher Wu Tian was chatting happily, but he obviously didn't care and said, wait a minute. Clint said deliberately, then let's go, you can swim back by yourself. Wu Tian had no choice but to finally embark on the return journey. I prepared 200 pieces of materials today, one piece costing 5,000 yuan, so I earned 1 million today. Clint laughed and saved it to marry No. 18. Clint gave Lan Chi 500,000 yuan, and Lan Chi happily accepted her labor income. Lan Chi was very happy that she had made money by herself, instead of relying on robbery. Sleep, sleep, hee hee. When a ray of sunshine flashed across the sea, Clint was already ready. With today's goal of 1,000, he started training on the seabed with a thick turtle shell. The sun was setting, and it was time to go out. This time, teacher Wu Tian did not go out, but chose to watch the beauty pageant at home. Today, it is even more popular than yesterday. Although there are only 1,000 copies, it has been sold out in just a short time. Lan Chi is resting next to her, and Clint is thinking about hiring 2 people to help Lan Chi share the burden. After all, she is a girl. Clint was thinking, when a boy came over and looked at him. He was about 17 years old. He was wearing old clothes with a few holes in them, but he was neat and clean. Especially his eyes were bright. He should be an upright person. Hello, are you in need of hiring? The young man asked stumblingly, with a hint of fear in his expression. It was the kind of fear of being rejected, not fear of someone. How do you know we need to recruit workers? Clint asked. At this time, the young man seemed to have gained some confidence, and said weakly, I see you are so hot, and this sister is obviously too busy, so. You're a smart kid, but you're too skinny. I can do it. Don't look at me thin, but I am very strong. If you don't believe me, you can try it. The young man seemed a little anxious. Okay, I believe you. In fact, Colin has already seen this boy's data. Time, 756 AD. Name, Fanyu. Age, 16 years old. Race, Earthling. Combat strength, 25. Skill, collision. Cultivation limit, 150 to 800 combat power. 25's combat power really surprised Clint. Among the Earthlings who are all fighting scum, 25's combat power is already very strong. Why does the limit of Xiaoxi's combat power change so much? Silly, the former is the limit that Yeluzi can reach without anyone's guidance. If teacher Wushan is there to guide him, he can reach 800. Clint suddenly understood, what a good idea. What's your name? Clint asked. Although he already knew it, he still had to go through the process again. My name is Fan Yu. Fan Yu looked at Clint expectantly. Clint chuckled and said, come to work at this time tomorrow. It may be tiring. I'm not afraid, Thank you, the young man said gratefully, bowing, and left quickly. Clint smiled and said, this kid is quite honest. I haven't asked about his salary yet. Hee, I am also a practical person. I will give him 10,000 a day. He is too thin and needs to be replenished. Lan Chi, pack your things and get ready to go back. Okay, Lan Chi replied. I sold 1,000 copies today and made 2.5 million, not bad. Life will get better and better. I recommend a book to a good friend, Fighting Addiction. As I quit my addiction, I became the god of the supreme sky. To accompany my lover for hundreds of millions of years, I destroyed this hypocritical fairy. Looking up to the sky and wailing, the whole world is in mourning. Sitting on the ground and chanting, all living creatures are laughing. With a word that shocks the world and a kick that determines the world, the boy in the past finally becomes a god. With a look, he can kill all those who have murderous intentions. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye, and Clint gradually adapted to the pressure on the bottom of the sea and felt a little stronger. Time: 756 AD. Name: Clint. Age: 20 years old. Race: Earthling. Combat Strength: 104. Skills: Turtle-style Qigong, Sun Fist, Afterimage Fist. Cultivation limit: 1500 combat power. It feels really good to practice, and you can visibly see the increase in combat power, blah blah blah. Clint couldn't help but feel a little happy. 10 days later, Keelan's total assets were 28 million. The addition of Fanyu relieved Lan Chi's pressure a lot, but Keelan did not increase the supply. Hunger marketing was the king. 28 million seems like a lot, but the purchasing power is really not enough. Originally, Clint wanted to order a set of gravity equipment from Dr. Breves, but considering the financial situation, he will wait. More than 10 days of training only increased 4 points of combat power, which made Clint really anxious, because 4 years later Raditz came to Earth. Although Wukong's combat power was between 314 and 416 at that time, he was not far behind him. But after that, Wukong seemed to have turned on a cheating device. When fighting Nappa, it was 5,000, 8,000. When fighting Vegeta, he even exploded to 24,000 when using quadruple Kaioken. On Namek, 90,000, 3 million, 150 million. So what if I am the strongest supporter? In just 5 years, will I inevitably become a soy sauce party again? God, you let me, shall I do the soy sauce? Clint couldn't help complaining at this time. Ding dong, Xiao Lindsay, are you starting to feel less confident? The system seemed to be mocking. You still have the nerve to say that after disappearing for so many days and suddenly appearing, you are scaring a ghost. Clint couldn't help but roll his eyes. Saiyan, it's not like you don't know. A breakthrough in the later stage to increase the combat power by hundreds of millions is just for fun. What do you want me to do? Clint asked anxiously. Since the host is eager to become stronger, the function is activated, and the balance on the card, please check the energy function. In addition, the system is not mysterious and does not require additional exploration. Potential: 1396. Energy: 2. Practice speed: medium speed. Available energy: 0. What's the use of this? Clint sweated. Since you ask sincerely, this system will mercifully tell you that potential is the limit of how much you can increase your combat power. Energy can be absorbed by your body and increase your cultivation speed. Simply put, the more energy you have, the faster your cultivation speed will be. It cannot be used when the energy is lower than 10 points. Then how can we obtain energy? Clint asked eagerly. There are only 2 ways to obtain energy. One is to eat, you can get energy by eating, and the other is to absorb objects that contain powerful energy. But I eat normally, why don't I see any energy? You don't look like a fool. You don't need energy to survive. You don't know the conservation of energy. The system couldn't help but roll its eyes. Let me tell you more exciting news. After the energy reaches a certain amount, it may cause a qualitative change. You have a chance to get rid of the height of 154. The system laughed so cheaply. Clint burst into tears. He still had a chance to grow taller. He originally wanted to collect the Dragon Balls to make a wish in the future, but it seems that he can save it, haha. When the red sun rises, its path shines brightly, and the river flows out and flows into the vast ocean. There is no doubt that Clint is now a young man full of hope. No, actually. Clint went to deliver ingredients as usual. Because of the booming business, he had already rented a shop, hired several employees, and set up a regular operation. It was just a limited purchase. Clint walked into the store, and Fan Yu was working hard. Even though there were many customers, Fan Yu seemed to be doing well. Yes, he was a good boy. Clint couldn't help but nod in appreciation. Recently, I feel that the effectiveness of underwater training is declining. Should I consider moving to a deeper place or a place with greater pressure? If this is the case, it is time to consider finding a successor. It is time for me to practice with higher intensity. When Fan Yu saw his boss coming, he happily greeted him and bowed 90 degrees. Hello, boss. Such an easy job, such a high salary, that it would be my turn, makes everyone laugh out of their dreams. Fan Yu, have you considered changing your job? Fan Yu suddenly turned pale and felt desperate. Is the boss going to fire me? That's right. It's my turn to have such an easy job and such a high salary. I should be content after so many days. No, I haven't thought about it. Seeing his expression change, Clint thought to himself, he is such an honest boy. He must have misunderstood. Then he said, stop being a waiter and go purchase ingredients. I will increase your salary tenfold, but you will be even more tired than now. I'm not afraid of being tired, no matter how tired I am. This scene is like a contemporary college student who has just found a job. He is not afraid of hardship, but Clint is not a shady boss. He only needs enough money to spend, and he doesn't care much about the quantity. Fan Yu seemed a little dizzy, and his swelling increased tenfold. Fan Yu immediately panicked. It's too much, 10,000 is already enough. His face seemed a little red. Clint interrupted Fan Yu, you deserve this. Come to me at Guixian Island tomorrow, and I will send you the map shortly. You must know that Guixian Island is not something ordinary people can find. Okay, boss. Fan Yu replied excitedly. The next day, just after dawn, Fan Yu had arrived at Guixian Island, but he did not wake up Clint. When Clint woke up, he found Fan Yu standing under a coconut tree, waiting quietly. He didn't seem anxious. Children can be taught, so Clint kept nodding. Fan Yu, let's go. Clint used the air dance technique to fly into space. Fan Yu was frightened, how can people fly? Fan Yu seemed to have opened the door to a new world in his heart, and the seeds of martial arts were quietly planted in his heart. Hurry up, catch up, why are you dazed? Clint shouted. Fan Yu was suddenly called back to reality and quickly replied, okay, and then drove the boat to follow. About half an hour later, Clint stopped on the sea. Okay, this is it. The ingredients are down there, Fan Yu, go down and try to catch them. Clint said to Fan Yu. Immediately, Fan met and went into the sea. Clint has confidence in him. He is a young genius with 25 combat power. Sure enough, after a while, Fan Yu came out of the sea with 2 lobsters and shouted with a happy face. Look, boss, he pointed at the lobsters. Is this kid so smart? I wasted a lot of effort back then. After a while of capturing, with the combined efforts of the 2 of them, 2 small capsules were filled. Clint is also very happy. The work has been handed over and he can practice better in the future. Boss, I'm going back first. The restaurant still needs these ingredients. Fan Yu said happily. Go ahead and be safe at sea. Well, Fan Yu nodded hard. Goodbye, boss. Xiaoshan, why do I still have 4 points of energy? I have eaten 3 times the amount of food in the past few days. The system said lightly that the energy contained is low. Okay. Clinton choked. The next day, Clint set off early to the deep sea. After finding a suitable location, he began to dive, 10 meters, 30 meters. As the depth increased, the pressure on the seabed continued to increase, until 150 meters, reaching the current level of 10 meters. Withstand the extreme pressure, every inch of the body is like a lead ball tied to it. The pressure is just right and I start practicing. Every time he threw a punch, he was under tremendous pressure. The blocking force of sleep made it difficult for him to move every time. However, this was the only way to achieve the effective training. After an hour, Clint felt that his physical strength had reached the limit, and he slowly surfaced, feeling the body slowly recover. A shark seemed to be extremely hungry. It swam toward Klin with only its wings exposed, hoping to attack him unexpectedly. In fact, Klin had already noticed the shark when it appeared. After all, its energy was much stronger than that of ordinary people. The shark was slowly waiting for the opportunity, and Klin was also slowly waiting for the opportunity. Suddenly the shark jumped suddenly, opened its big mouth and bit Klin. Klin jumped slightly behind him, just in time to avoid it. He opened it and punched him hard on the back. The shark was knocked away. It was in the air at this time. Turtle-style qigong, a blue light flashed. At this time, the shark had no breath. Klin flew to its side, looked at it, the weak and the strong, the survival of the fittest, and said lightly, the system absorbs it. Ding, the shark disappears, the system sounds, get 50 energy, open the energy panel. Potential, 1394. Energy, 56. Practice speed, medium speed. Usable energy, 50. Use 50 energy. Ding, the energy has been used. You will gain high-speed cultivation in the next 5 days. Potential, 1394. Energy, 6. Practice speed, high speed. Usable energy, 0. After gaining high-speed training, Klin seemed to have a deeper understanding of his martial arts, became more sensitive to qi, and kept up his efforts. However, the large animals in this sea area suffered a disaster and were almost slaughtered. 2 hours later, the sea area was still the same sea area, with calm wind and calm waves, but Klin was not the same Klin. Xiaoxi opened the energy panel. Potential, 1393. Energy, 3056. Practice speed, high speed. Absorbable energy, 3056. Use 3000 energy, ding, get 30 days of super acceleration. This time it feels even better, as if martial arts are right in front of you, more powerful than taking Dolly pill. Haha, great. Go home. I feel like my strength is increasing every moment, and I suddenly have confidence again. Klin smiled proudly in his heart. Teacher Wu Tian also seemed to feel the changes in Klin. Firstly, he was filled with confidence, and secondly, the aura of martial arts exuded from his inner being, as if martial arts had become a reality. Old man, the future will be the era of young people. The future Earth will be protected by you. Blue sky, white clouds, gentle breeze blowing the waves towards the island. Hey, ha. I saw a strong shadow passing by, with his upper body bare, revealing toned muscles and shark lines, each one strong and powerful, but the beauty was ruined by a lavender turtle shell on his back. In the last jump, Klin landed on one foot first, and followed slowly with the other. Everything seemed smooth and orderly. Haha, Klin took a few deep breaths and wiped the sweat from his head. I finally got used to the 80-kilogram turtle shell, Klin chuckled. He had gained a lot in these 8 days. Time, 756 AD. Name, Klin. Age, 20 years old. Race, Earthling. Combat strength, 196. Skills, turtle-style qigong, sun fist, afterimage fist. Cultivation limit, 1500 combat power. It's good to practice at super speed. My strength is improving visibly every day. Haha, I'm afraid I will catch up with Wukong soon. Klin slapped himself. Bah, what are you thinking? Wukong went to Namek to reach 90,000 in 5 days, and then 90,000 turned into 150 million. What are you happy about? Bah, slapped himself again. There's a long way to go. Klin sighed deeply. In the blink of an eye, it has been a month since I came to the Dragon Ball world. To be honest, I feel pretty good. I can fly freely if I want, and eat as much as I want. There will be a wife waiting for me in the future. Come on, Klin, the future is bright. Expect. It's time to go back, practice well, rest well, it's time to study. Kame Senin was still lying in front of the TV watching the women's broadcast gymnastics as usual, drooling from the corner of his mouth from time to time, which really showed off his obscene words. Teacher Wu Tian, Wukong is getting married the day after tomorrow. Let's pack up and let's go to Baozi Mountain tomorrow. Klin said slowly. Teacher Wu Tian seemed to be too fascinated to hear. Teacher Wu Tian. Teacher Wu Tian. Klin shouted loudly. Ah. Teacher Wu Tian said casually. Oh no, I won't be involved in the affairs of you young people. That's not possible. After all, the Bull Demon King's family and Wukong are all your disciples. There is no reason why the master won't go when the apprentice gets married. The key is that there are so many beauties. Clin said in a seductive tone. Ouch! Teacher Wu Tian immediately looked at Fuan. When will Clin set off? Come on. Clin smiled slightly, but he was still too young. What should I prepare for Wukong? Money is not popular in this world. Wukong is so simple and doesn't care about anything. Clin's eyes moved slowly and saw a round stone placed on the bookcase. There was only one word on it, turtle. Clin slowly fell into memories, and the corners of his mouth raised inadvertently. Back then, they were apprenticed to teacher Wu Tian. Wu Tian's teacher trained him that whoever found the stone first would have food, but he had cheated the stone away from Wukong. Wukong was left without food. And the stone in front of you is the best witness, haha, it's him. The next day, the three of them were ready. Teacher Wu Tian wore a tunic-like dress and a wig, which looked a bit energetic, while Lan Qi wore a golden dress. The hair looks a bit domineering. Colin, the protagonist, is wearing a white dress and has a shiny bald head. The combination looks quite natural, but the height is really a flaw. Let's go, Teacher Wu Tian. I'll pilot the airship. But this is my first time going to Baozi Mountain. I don't know if this navigation is easy to use. Finally going to see Goku, Krillin was a little bit excited. He didn't know if he had the signature Sun family hairstyle like in the anime. Clin vaguely remembered that there was a saying in his previous life that Clin offered sacrifices to the heavens and had boundless power. You can hit anyone, but you can't hit Krillin in front of Goku. Piccolo's men beat Krillin, but was co-ed by Goku. Frieza beat Krillin, and Goku was so angry that he successfully transformed and co-Frieza. Wukong had no friends since childhood and had very little contact with other people, but he practiced martial arts with Clin, grabbed food together, and grew up together. It can be said that Clin is Wukong's best friend, no one else. Wukong, here I come. The journey was bumpy and the mountain road had 18 bends. 5 hours later, Clin saw a landmark building, which was indeed Wukong's home. After getting off the airship, I saw a giant strong man lying on the ground, shouting, Teacher Wu Tian, are you feeling well? Teacher Wu Tian looked at him and said slowly, the Bull Demon King has been doing well in recent years and has not killed innocent people indiscriminately. The Bull Demon King grinned and said, I have been a good person since I listened to the teacher. This is the Bull Demon King. Although he looks a bit rough, but where are the horns? Clin thought in his mind. Hee, long time no see, Shaolin. A sincere voice said, then walked forward and held Clin's hand with both hands. Clin raised his head, indeed he looked up. The first thing he saw was a pair of bright eyes, and then he noticed his clothes. Wukong was wearing a blue heavy vest, a turtle sect uniform, blue boots with a yellow line on the front and back, and blue wristbands on his hands. He was looking at Krillin with a smile. Hello, Wukong, long time no see. Clin also said with a happy face. Sure enough, this hairstyle is exclusive to the Sun family, but Wukong seems to have grown taller again. Then the group of people entered the house. Where's Goku Chi-Chi? Chi-Chi is trying on wedding dresses. Hee, it is indeed a girl's nature to be stinky. After a while, Chi-Chi came out. Chi-Chi is wearing a white wedding dress, with long, fine black hair that often hangs over her shoulders. She looks slightly soft. Her white skin is like a freshly peeled egg. Her big eyes twinkle as if she can talk. Her little red, the whiteness of her lips and skin is more distinct, and a pair of small dimples are evenly distributed on both sides of her cheeks. When she smiles lightly, the dimples are looming on her cheeks, which is extremely cute. Hello, Teacher Wushan, hello Uncle Xiaolin, Chi-Chi said shyly. I can't help it. I'm 1 year older than Goku, so Chi-Chi has to call me uncle. Clin rubbed his head coquettishly but smiled politely at Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is so beautiful, she has really grown up. Teacher Wu Tian praised her. Chi-Chi was still a gentle and shy girl before she got married, and Clin couldn't help but sigh. Sun Wukong and Chi-Chi settled in Baozi Mountain and lived in seclusion for 5 years. After marriage, Chi-Chi played the role of a good wife at home in Baozishan. At first, Chi-Chi was a sweet and lovable wife, but after her eldest son, Sun Wuhan, was born, due to family factors and Wukong's ruthless and family-friendly personality, she placed her expectations on Gohan, always hoping that Gohan would become a scholar. he did not encourage Gohan to practice martial arts and follow in the footsteps of Goku. No matter what you do, life will eventually polish off your edges. Maybe only Wukong can always maintain an innocent heart. Clint thought silently. In any case, they are very happy now. Chi-Chi has always loved Wukong deeply. Now the Bull Demon King's family still has a lot of money. At worst, letting Chi-Chi directly invest in the restaurant will be a help to Wukong. Haha, I'm so smart. Xiao Lin, I feel that you have become much stronger. Come and fight with me. Wukong's eyes were shining. Hey, I got what I asked for. Although my strength has increased a lot, I only know it after practice. Come on Wukong, the two flew to the back mountain. System, view Wukong attributes. Time, 756 AD. Name, Sun Wukong Kakarot. Age, 19 years old. Race, Saiyan. Combat strength, 260. Skills, Turtle-style Qigong, Sun Fist, Afterimage Fist. And Klin's attributes at this time. Time, 756 AD. Name, Klin. Age, 20 years old. Race, Earthling. Combat strength, 205. Skills, Turtle-style Qigong, Sun Fist, Afterimage Fist. Klin chuckled, the difference is not big, haha come on. Both Krillin and Wukong were gathering their own energy. Hey! Krillin's shadow flashed, moved behind Wukong at high speed, and kicked out. Wukong glanced out of the corner of his eye, dodged the attack, and punched Klin straight away. The two sides fought like this for hundreds of rounds. Klin was accidentally knocked away with one move and broke several big trees. An attack of this level, both sides are testing. Suddenly, the momentum of the two people suddenly changed. Both of them used their full strength. The ground sank and the mountain collapsed. The twins seemed to be involved in a fierce battle, but Klin's aura seemed even more chaotic at this time. After all, he was more than 50 points behind Wukong in combat power. Hey, let's decide on the winner, Klin. Both sides took the same posture, turtle, scent. Qigong, two blue lights collided, emitting a heaven-destroying momentum. The two sides were in a stalemate for a while, and Klin was knocked out due to lack of strength. Before he passed out, Klin remembered a sentence from his previous life, never confront the Sun family. Energy shock wave. Klin slowly woke up, his body seemed to be falling apart, and his whole body was tingling. His system started to repair, and then a mysterious force began to repair the collapsed body. Klin, you have become so strong, Wukong said with a smile. It seemed that Wukong was only slightly tired and not injured. Of course, I have also practiced hard. I'm so hungry. Wukong felt his stomach. Klin, let's go find something to eat. After a while, a fire was set up next to it. 2 giant fish, a wild wolf, and 3 wild boars were enough to feed 2 people. Klin's stomach was also a bottomless pit at this time. System, open the energy panel and view Wukong's attributes. Potential, infinite. Energy, 350. Practice speed, high speed. Usable energy, 300. Haha, infinity. Krillin has questions, why is Goku's speed only high speed? High speed refers to his current cultivation speed. He will become a VIP in the future as his strength improves. The system explained weakly. Okay, check your properties. Potential, 1280. Energy, 49. Practice speed, super speed. Usable energy, 40. Hey, my combat power is 220. It seems that I will have more fights in the future, while Wukong's combat power is 275. The Saiyans are indeed a fighting nation. After eating so full, the two of them started fighting and patted their bellies. Wukong should go back, otherwise Chi-Chi should be angry. No, Wukong chuckled. You are still too young. You will know later that the most powerful man in the universe is in front of his wife, haha. Baozi Mountain is usually inaccessible to people, and there are many ferocious beasts in the mountain, but at this time, it is a little more angry because of Wukong's wedding. It was still morning, and the wedding had been arranged. Why haven't Bulma, Leping, and Oolong arrived yet? Klin seemed to ask anxiously. Wukong scratched his head and said, but I didn't tell them. Huh. Klin slapped his head. I'm so stupid, really. Sure enough, it was still Wukong. Helpless, if the Bull Demon King hadn't come to Turtle Immortal Island, I'm afraid I wouldn't have known about it, and there was no way Wukong had such a character. As time goes on, it's time to get started. Teacher Wushan, please preside over the wedding for Wukong and Chi-Chi. The Bull Demon King fell to the ground and begged loudly. Teacher Wu Tian smiled mysteriously and said, of course someone will come, but they haven't arrived yet. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a figure falling from the sky. He was wearing a martial arts uniform, a melon cap, a big white beard, and a golden halo on his head. He was looking at Wukong kindly. Grandpa! Grandpa! Goku shouted and rushed over and threw himself into Gohan's arms. Sure enough, he burst into tears again just like when he was a child. The power of family affection is so powerful that even a Saiyan with a pure heart like Goku can't. Unavoidable. Good boy, don't cry. Grandpa is very happy to see you grow up today. Gohan looked at Goku with a kind face. Grandpa, didn't you come back once? Everyone can only come back once, Wukong asked with some confusion. At this time, Granny Crystal slowly floated down and said slowly, originally, each person can only come back once, but Wukong, you defeated the great demon King Piccolo, saved the world, and greatly reduced the workload of the King of Hell. My junior brother is here again. You told me in advance that you were going to get married, so your grandfather and I discussed coming back today, and the King of Hell specifically approved it. As Goku's grandfather, Gohan is naturally the most qualified to host it. As time went by, it was time for the wedding. At this time, Wukong was wearing a black dress and a white tie, and was slowly walking towards everyone, while Chi-Chi was wearing a white wedding dress, with her hair loose, her whole body holding Wukong's arm tightly, a sweet smile spreads out on his face. The wedding is going on smoothly. With a burst of noise, the wedding comes to an end. Wukong, Chi-Chi is a good wife. You should live a good life and try to give Grandpa a fat grandson as soon as possible. Gohan laughed and said. Chi-Chi was an inexperienced little girl. Her face turned red all of a sudden, and she whispered softly, Grandpa. Wukong, I have to leave. Wukong stretched out his hands as if to hug his grandfather, but he never reached out. This action never escaped Gohan's eyes. Gohan stepped forward and hugged Wukong. Silly boy, I know you can't let go of Grandpa. Grandpa is watching you in the sky. Grandpa has never left you. Yeah. Goku cried and nodded. After a while, Grandpa was about to leave. He walked towards Teacher Wushan, bowed to Teacher Wushan, and said, Teacher Wushan, please take care of Wukong. Teacher Wu Tian nodded and said nothing. Grandma Crystal, let's go. In an instant, the figures of Gohan and Granny Crystal disappeared from everyone's sight. The next day, Teacher Wu Tian, you should go back first. I want to experience it. Staying on Guaxian Island for a long time is always boring. Clin said seriously. Clin, you little fool, don't run away. There's no beauty anywhere. I won't beat you to death. Clin laughed loudly and said, Teacher Wu Tian, if I didn't say so, could you come? Krillin stayed. He had to take advantage of these few days to build up his combat power. Krillin smiled and said, I'm sorry, Goku. Wukong, let's fight. In this way, Krillin and Wukong competed for 3 consecutive days, going into the mountains to hunt when they were hungry, and drinking mountain spring water when they were thirsty. Krillin's strength is improving every day. Time: 756 AD. Name: Clin. Age: 20 years old. Race: Earthling. Combat strength: 300. But Wukong showed slight progress at this time. Time: 756 AD. Name: Sun Wukong Kakarot. Age: 19 years old. Race: Saiyan. Combat strength: 278. Skills: Turtle-style Qigong, Sun Fist, Afterimage Fist. Congratulations to the host for successfully passing through the adaptation period. The way of obtaining energy has changed. The energy of ordinary prey has greatly weakened, requiring the host to find more advanced energy. Clin panicked all of a sudden. If I don't have energy, would I be knocked off the altar? How can I obtain high-level energy? Clin asked eagerly. The system pondered for a while and said, high-grade energy ores and precious medicinal materials that have been around for a long time are all fine. It's just that the Earth's current state of derivation means that there is very little high-grade energy. Is there anything else? As a healing medicine that penetrates the Dragon Balls, fairy beans can permanently increase your energy by 500 no matter what state you are in. Also, the spiritual fruit can restore your energy, which means extending your life. It can also permanently increase your energy. 500 energy. In fact, there are higher level energies in the universe, such as black stones. What is a black stone? Clint had some questions. It's the source of eternal power on number 17 and no. 18. I knew you were reluctant to part with it, so I didn't say anything. The system chuckled. Don't mention this matter again in the future. Clint looked a bit dark. The system muttered inwardly, did I say it's in the current time and space? When your strength reaches a certain level, you can extract star cores from the planet and use them for cultivation. It is too early to tell you this. Now that you know the goal, it's easier to do it. After all, you're not just a headless fly flying around. At least you can get twice the result with half the effort by moving toward the goal. Cultivation is a long journey, like sailing against the current. If you don't advance, you will retreat. Clint constantly reminds himself that he cannot slack off. The consequences of slacking off are not something he can bear. It's time to say goodbye to Wukong. The effect of training here is no longer great. After all, his combat power has surpassed Wukong. The energy of the system is only enough for him to practice for 20 days. The energy provided by ordinary prey is already very little. It is time to find it. If you have enough energy, you can always maintain an efficient cultivation state. Krillin found Wukong, who is currently training hard. Wukong, I'm leaving. I'll come and say goodbye to you. Wukong simply nodded. Xiaolin, are you fighting with me? You've become a lot stronger recently, Goku said, looking at Clint expectantly. Clint shook his head and asked, Wukong, you don't want to practice any more recently. Just take Chi-Chi out to have some fun. After all, you just got married. This is called a honeymoon. Honeymoon. What's delicious? Wukong asked with a foodie look on his face. Don't worry about the delicious food. Anyway, I just want to take Chi-Chi out to have fun. I won't come back for a month. But this will delay your training, Wukong said with a troubled expression. Wukong, you must know that a woman's prime years of youth are only these few years. You must know how to cherish your youth. Your youth is far greater than that of people on Earth. Don't wait until later. Clint said seriously. Wukong looked confused, obviously not understanding. Just listen to me. I hope Wukong's elm-headed brain can be enlightened soon, Krillin smiled helplessly. Krillin said goodbye to Wukong and left. Just as I came gently, I left quietly, carrying only a box of portable capsules. Haha, let's go on an adventure with bare hands. Because he is an Earthling, he is limited by his qualifications. In the original book, Clint's combat power was 1083 when he fought against Nappa and the highest was 1700, full power, so there is no conflict in setting a 1500 combat power limit for Krillin. At this time, Leping's combat power is around 1400, so the potential of Earthlings is limited. Namek chapter. His strength improved in the battle against Vegeta, and he practiced in the spaceship and Gohan's spirit for a period of time. Around 1500 detected by Sob's detector. After the Great Elder developed his potential, 13,000 official, the potential limit has been increased to about 100,000. Fighting Frieza, 75,000. The combat power of Tianjin Fan is 1823. After all, Tianjin Fan has the blood of the three-eyed people and is not a pure earthling. With this assistant, Krillin can continue to break his own limits and eventually surpass Wukong. A tiger's cry came, and a colorful tiger fell to the ground. Clint was lying on the tiger, and his powerful fist kept hitting the tiger's head. The tiger whined and died in an instant. This is quite smart. I climbed 3 mountains to chase you, Clint said bitterly while sweating. System, detect energy, ding, contains 5 points. Bah, scumbag. Since the plateau period, it has become extremely difficult to obtain energy. The energy is about to bottom out. It is too difficult. Clint smiled bitterly. The places that Colin ventured to this time were all inaccessible places, and were even listed as desperate places by the United Kingdom. In this desperate situation, there are still some Aborigines who make a living by hunting. The Aboriginal people here are all kind-hearted and peace-loving. When encountering everyone was very happy when they arrived at Klin. They all entertained Klin with food and wine. After half a month of getting used to each other, Klin had slowly melted into him, and then they went hunting with Lao Aman. After the tiger fell for a long time, Xiao Man arrived with everyone. Xiao Man was Lao Man's son, about 2 meters long, and he was strong and powerful. Because of the language barrier, Lao Man and Xiao Man got their names from Klin himself. Xiao Man stepped forward and said, Jilagulu, Jilagulu, as if praising Klin, such a small body can burst out such amazing energy. Of course, it would be another matter if Klin understood. Xiao Man directed everyone to carry the tiger back. The tiger was very heavy and seemed to be struggling. Don't bother, he then threw out a capsule and the tiger put it in it. Seeing this, everyone knelt down and shouted, as if praising the god. Finally, the group of people returned to the gathering place. They did not have a fixed residence, but wandered with the prey. Old Aman was already waiting for everyone to return. When he saw everyone returning empty-handed, his eyes showed a little disappointment. Xiao Man ran towards Lao Man, dancing and shouting. Lao Man seemed to be disbelieving, but when Klin opened the capsule, there was another burst of praise. Of course, the prey is not only tigers, but also abundant. In order to have a good harvest, everyone specially held a bonfire party. As the biggest contributor, Klin must naturally be the protagonist of the party. Sunlight passed through the forest, birds were chirping, and everyone was busy and their faces were filled with happiness. Klin roughly learned from Xiao Man that today was a monthly sacrificial event, and everyone had to participate, kneel down and pray. Klin decided to do as the Romans do now that he was here. When Lao Man took out a lump of black and slightly hard ore, the system became uneasy. Ding dong, high-level energy has been detected, and the energy is high. What? Where? Klin said excitedly. Check it yourself. If I remind you, you have done your best, he, the system mocked. Uncle. Sooner or later, I have to uninstall you. Start the search, Didi, the target is in hand, the target information is as follows. Fairy Stone, Fragment. Contained energy, 2,500 points. Function description. Carrying it all year round can emit energy that can be absorbed by living things, improving a certain level of combat effectiveness. However, it is just a fragment and its function is greatly attenuated. Origin. Shenying system, Shenying planet. Klin's eyes suddenly shone, and he actually contained so much energy. Klin was moved, but he was really embarrassed. If he didn't know each other, he would have just run away, or even committed murder, but now they are familiar with each other, and he is so simple and kind, alas, it is difficult to handle. Klin said helplessly. I hope it's not something important, but it's obviously impossible. I haven't seen it in this month, and I didn't take it out carefully until I offered sacrifice to Aman. Obviously this is an extremely precious token, and the difficulty of obtaining it is +99. When the sacrifice was over, Klin hesitated for a while, and then went to find old Aman to explain. Fortunately, I gained my life but lost my life. This is just the beginning. If I transform into a beast because of this little energy, then I am not worthy of becoming one. Strong man, there are thousands of roads to becoming a god, but they are still difficult for me. Only by sticking to your heart can you succeed. Old Aman, I'm here to find you. When old Aman saw Klin, a kind smile appeared on his face, as if he was watching his own child. Grandpa Aman, I'm here to ask you something. Aman was a little confused and didn't seem to understand. Klin took out the painting of the fairy stone, pointed at the fairy stone, and then pointed at himself. This action was obviously easy to understand. Old Aman understood it all at once and seemed to become a little alert. Klin smiled and tried again. Then he took out another painting, which was full of prey. Klin pointed at the painting again, and then pointed at the fairy stone, which means I will trade the prey with you for the stone. Old Aman nodded quickly and opened his teeth and claws. It was obvious that he believed that Klin had the strength to catch prey. Keelan was secretly happy. Food is the most important thing for the people, and our ancestors would not deceive me. But old Aman obviously would not give the immortal stone to Klin before he saw the prey. He was a typical hawk who would not let go of the rabbit when he saw the rabbit. He was honest, but there was no trace of treachery at all. With Klin's strength, it was not easy to catch these prey. Klin only went out for a day and night to catch the food that the entire Lao Aman clan needed for March. When old Aman saw the prey, he reluctantly took out a small bag made of animal skin from his arms, opened it slowly, took out the fairy stone and gave it to Clint. Haha, I got it. Clint held the stone in his hand, and he immediately felt that he was extraordinary. It was warm, sending out bursts of heat, moisturizing his body. No wonder old Amon regarded it as a treasure, it turned out to be so extraordinary. This is just a fragment. You can imagine how powerful it is completely. Xiaoshuan, what kind of planet is Shenyang star? Although Clint is a reborn person, he is full of curiosity about the mysteries of the universe. The universe is far deeper than imagined. The middle one is big, it has no boundaries. It's just a pile of waste. The immortal star died 150 million years ago, the system said calmly. Clint felt a little regretful, but also a little lucky. This fragment carried such a long and rich history, and it must have been destined to be in his hands now. Look at you looking like a coward. Hurry up and practice. I will take you to the universe from now on. The system has such a shab personality, Clint is too lazy to say anything, just absorb it, the system. Ding! Get 2500 energy, check the energy panel. Potential. 1050. Energy. 89. Practice speed. Super speed, 5 days remaining, please renew in time. Usable energy. 2589. It's okay. I'll increase my combat power by 10 points every day. At this rate, I'll reach the limit of being an Earthling in another 105 days. Come on, Clint, there's a long way to go to find energy. 3 days after obtaining the immortal stone, it is time to leave. There is little use in staying here any longer. Say goodbye to old Amon. In fact, he is quite a good person, and he is the best among them all. Clint was packing his things. After all, he had lived here for more than half a month, and the equipment he should have was still complete. Old Amon came in, with a little expectation on his face. The moment he entered, the system sent out a signal and detected a large amount of high-level energy. Clint's face changed drastically and he shouted, Nyong Exapi. There is still some, and I didn't take it out earlier. Fortunately, I haven't left yet. Old Amon came in, dancing and gesticulating, what does this mean? Clint was a little confused and began to speculate that he must have wanted something when he came in. It must not be prey. Otherwise, he would have come here long ago. What would he want? He had no choice but to take it out and let him mix it by himself. When he took out the capsule, Lao Amon jumped up excitedly, it was him. Clint chuckled. It's my turn, old man. The old man took out a piece of fairy stone. Clint was still pretending well. His face changed suddenly and he was about to withdraw his pretense. Old Amon suddenly became anxious and quickly took out another piece. Clint was still unmoved. Old Amon he had no choice but to take out another piece. Clint seemed to be in a bit of pain. Lao Man hesitated for a long time and then slowly took out another piece. Clint hesitated to the limit, laughed, showed his big white teeth, and concluded the deal. Clint taught for a long time, and when old Amon learned how to use the capsule and left happily, Clint began to take stock of the harvest. The energy contained in the fairy stone is 3,000, 1,500, 1,000 and 4,100 respectively. Haha, now there is no shortage of energy. After Clint finished packing his things, he found that the entire Amon tribe was sending him away. They were such a simple tribe. Amon, goodbye, I will protect the earth well. Although they don't understand, Clint wants to protect this group of simple people and continue to survive on the earth. Krillin has walked on icy mountain ridges, crossed the desert of death, and dived into the deep sea thousands of meters deep to fight against giant underwater beasts. Clint was walking in a valley at this time. The valley was in a serpentine shape, probably because the river had changed its course thousands of years ago. There were bursts of thunder from time to time in the valley. Clint wiped his sweat and said, ordinary people would have been scared out of their wits. This thunderous roar is actually a physical phenomenon. It's just that I don't know much about physics and don't know the principles. Clint felt like crying when he saw that the system directly reduced the energy by 1,000. The good steel was used on the handle of the knife. Can the system regret it? Why did it only take 1 day for me to start light speed training to increase my combat power by 50? Isn't it 100 as promised? My qualifications are poor, who do you blame? It will be impossible for you to regret it in this life. I just wanted to satisfy my curiosity and want to experience the feeling of practicing at the speed of light. Unexpectedly, the increase in combat power was reduced by half. Light speed cultivation not only improves your cultivation speed, but also improves your understanding of martial arts. Although the journey of cultivation is directly related to hard work, the most important thing is one word: enlightenment. Quote. Krillin nodded in agreement. Sometimes a month of confusion is understood in that moment, and sometimes it takes a lifetime to understand. This is where the benefits of the speed of light are reflected. One day of light speed enlightenment may be equivalent to 30 years of ordinary enlightenment. As Klin studied it carefully, he felt more and more powerful about the system. Potential: 860. Energy: 78. Cultivation speed: light speed. Usable energy: 9,778. Not being able to waste time, Klin found a hidden cave and began to sit down and meditate. Klin recalled his own practice experience since childhood, and noticed the shortcomings of each stage of practice, every action he made in every battle, where the enemy's weaknesses were, and how he could improve to defeat him. As time passed by, Klin was undergoing earth-shaking changes. Teacher Wu Tian would be amazed at this. Klin's martial arts has become substantial, like a thin layer of clothing lightly covering Klin's body. One day passed, and Klin seemed to have no tendency to wake up. Another day, still no, and another day. Klin slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were different from usual. At this time, his eyes were deep in vicissitudes, as if he could see your flaws at a glance. All kinds of things. Huh. Klin let out a long breath. Haha. Harvest. Full. The system checked the attributes. Ding. As follows. Time: 756 AD. Name: Klin. Age: 20 years old. Race: Earthling. Combat power: 700. It turns out that I have become the strongest on Earth without saying a word. Ha ha ha, Klin said with a face full of irritation. Although the Earth is only temporarily the strongest, it still feels rewarding. After staying in this valley for about a week, the giant carnivores in this place were almost extinct. Klin stood up and dusted himself off. It was time to go to the next place. I have enough energy left to reach my limit. Don't worry for the time being. Let's just watch while walking. I just don't know where Piccolo is, otherwise it would be fun to torture him. No, it seems that Piccolo went back to Yunzebit Highlands after being defeated by Goku. That's right, that's it. Klin was a little excited, so he decided to stop at Yunzebit Highlands next. It's just that the Yunzebit Highlands are at the edge of the earth. Klin can't help but have a headache. He should fly with all his strength. Klin marched towards the Yunzebit Highlands, passing large rivers, mountains, and basins along the way. What he saw in front of him kept becoming desolate little by little. After 5 days of flying, the landforms before him looked very much like the Jotun landforms in his previous life. Various strange stone shapes had been eroded by the wind, and the landscape was desolate and desolate. Birds could not fly, and there were no traces of animal survival. Being able to continue practicing in this environment, Piccolo's perseverance is really admirable. Klin couldn't help but praise. Yunzebit Highland is so big, where can I find Piccolo? I didn't go to the temple to receive training on Bobo's chi system. At this time, I only know how to apply it crudely. After challenging Piccolo, I must go to the temple. Systematically learn how to use chi. Klin said with some regret. Klin was flying aimlessly in the Yunzebit Highlands. The strong wind carried the wind and sand and hit Klin's face like a knife. Even a master like Klin could not bear the long-term consumption. I have no choice but to find it again and have to come back later. Because there was no food replenishment here, and Klin's food was almost exhausted, he had to withdraw from Yunzebit Highlands. When Klin passed a tall stone pillar, he couldn't help but look happy. He saw a familiar yet unfamiliar shadow. In this place where birds didn't poop, the person must be Piccolo. Klin laughed. Klin flew over, restrained his breath, and slowly approached the stone pillar. Only when he got closer did Klin see Piccolo's figure clearly and looked at it slowly. Bick is sitting cross-legged in the air, with his eyes closed tightly. He has green skin, wearing a dark and light blue Taoist uniform with the word, Devil, printed on it, and a bright purple-blue wide belt. He was wearing a white cloak, and the antennae on his head were covered under his hat. Klin flew above Piccolo, and then slowly fell down. With a step, Klin stopped in front of Piccolo. Are you here to die? Piccolo said calmly without opening his eyes. In fact, Piccolo discovered Klin when Klin first discovered him. After all, Piccolo and the god were once one, and he was also very proficient in chi cultivation. But when he found out that it was Klin, he was not very sure. Care. You'll know soon whether you're going to die or not. Klin chuckled. Klin had already checked Piccolo's attributes when he first arrived, as follows. Time: 756 AD. Name: Bic. Age: 6, calculated as the age of freshman Bic. Race: Namekian. Combat strength: 260. Little Zamao, hee, I'll let you know who Xiaozhaomao is. Then an energy bomb flew by, and the stone pillar where Piccolo was razed to the ground. Piccolo felt the terror of the big air bomb, and tried his best to avoid it. His face no longer showed contempt, sweat was dripping from his head, and he said. Klin dodged behind Piccolo and raised the corners of his mouth. Hey, you've been hit. He hit Piccolo in the waist with a flying kick. Before Piccolo noticed it, he heard a voice behind him and was about to turn his head when the person flew backwards and penetrated several mountains. Klin followed closely in a flash, teleporting under Piccolo, and kicked with both feet together. Piccolo was suddenly hit into the sky, and Klin followed closely, flying to the top of Piccolo's head, holding hands tightly together. Then hit Piccolo hard. Piccolo hit the ground like a meteorite at high speed. With a bang, dust flew up on the ground. The dust filled the area and did not dissipate for a long time. Klin slowly fell down. I saw Piccolo smashing a 5-meter deep pit, and he lay there motionless, as if he had lost his life. Get up. Stop pretending, Piccolo, this is all leftover from Wukong's play. I haven't caused any substantial harm to you to this extent. Piccolo slowly flew out. His clothes were damaged, and green liquid was leaking from somewhere on his body. He was obviously slightly injured. Why has your strength improved so much? Piccolo said viciously. You don't know a lot. Piccolo, please take off the weight on your body and use all your strength, otherwise you may die. Of course, Klin was just scaring Piccolo. Piccolo was a little surprised as to why Klin knew this, but he took off his heavy-bearing clothes without thinking too much. Piccolo seemed to be very relaxed and said, Zamao, accept the anger of this king. Klin smiled lightly. It seems it's time to let you know what social beatings mean. Then, the two sides fought together again. Why are your fists so weak? Klin mocked. Yeah. Piccolo was angry, and the attack became more violent. Countless fists hit Klin. Finally, there was a magic flash, and Klin was knocked away, knocking down countless rocks, and the entire impact area was covered with dust, surrounded. Hoo, Piccolo breathed heavily. After waiting for a moment, seeing that Krillin did not come out, he smiled and jumped up happily. After all, the world belongs to me, Piccolo, the great demon king. I'm afraid you're too happy too soon, came a faint voice. Piccolo's smile stopped suddenly and he looked at Klin in surprise. You, speechless. The warm-up is over, I'm going to attack with all my strength. With a heavy flying kick, Piccolo was knocked out again. Piccolo's figure was seen flying upwards and downwards. At this time, Piccolo lost the ability to resist, and his whole body followed Krillin. The fist moves in the direction of the fist. Ha! Hey! Turtle! Pie! Qigong! Here comes! Piccolo's whole body is covered by a blue light, and an impact crater of nearly 30 meters in diameter is formed on the ground. Krillin slowly flew over and looked at Piccolo, who was currently in the center of the impact crater. Piccolo was trying his best to stand up, but his energy was exhausted. After struggling for a long time, he was only half kneeling. He was in a very embarrassed state, with veins all over his body. One of his arms was broken and still dripping green liquid. When he saw Piccolo couldn't help but tremble all over. When Klin saw this, he smiled and said, I won't kill you, don't worry. Piccolo obviously didn't believe it and remained alert. I'm just here to discuss things with you. I don't have any ill intentions. Piccolo is a respectable opponent. He sacrificed his life to save Gohan and almost became the nanny of the Sun family in the later period. Krillin couldn't help but smile. Okay, now that the fight is over, I have to leave. Piccolo, just take good care of your injuries. Kling rose into the sky, By the way, Piccolo, take a long-term view. Don't just set surpassing Goku as your goal. Colin then left in a hurry. Piccolo still didn't believe it, but he didn't kill me. Piccolo thought. It must be still nearby, trying to give me a fatal blow while I'm not paying attention. Piccolo never relaxed and secretly regained his strength. After 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, Piccolo felt that Krillin's energy was far away, and he suddenly sat on the ground. Piccolo was thoughtful, as if savoring the meaning of Krillin's last words. After a long time, there is another powerful enemy to rule the world. Krillin. Piccolo gritted his teeth. Thanks for watching.